Welcome to the Alcohol-Free Marriage and More podcast, recorded live from the cornfields of Central Illinois. We're all about life without alcohol and thriving marriages. Welcome to episode 97 for December 30th, 2024.
Well, hello there, children. Welcome back to your weekly freak show that is the Alcohol-Free Marriage and More podcast. I am Matt, along with the always lovely and fresh from organizing the basement Christmas storage closet, Coach Amy. How are you, my
I
love?
am great. I didn't know if you were going to allow me to talk about that.
Talk about storage. Alcohol-Free Marriage and More storage organization is your more today, kids.
Yes, I will say. First off, we said we were going to come to you with a vlog last week.
Yeah, we lied.
And that did not happen because in the midst of going to a wedding in December and all the activities, and then having to basically leave early after the wedding,
It wasn't
before the
terribly
reception.
practical.
It did not work out.
No.
And then also decided to just really enjoy last week.
True.
And decided, you know what? Both
I
of
did-
us wanted to have like a real break.
Yes. I did record about 30 seconds of the Cocoa Station setup,
Yes.
and that was it.
Which we could
Because
share that.
it's very riveting all by itself.
But the Cocoa Station at the reception was a huge hit.
Yes.
The alcohol-free wedding
Yes,
reception
was a huge
was good.
Yeah.
We did not, unfortunately, get to partake in
No.
that.
No. But
Due
we did
to
get some
weather.
take-home cocoa, so that's
We
good.
did. We got a little surprise Christmas present yesterday.
In the form of cocoa.
Yes.
So we'll try the cocoa. Maybe that'll
Well,
be the drink of the
I don't
week
need to
next
try
time.
the cocoa. I've had the cocoa.
I have not.
This is my grandmother's recipe. I have no problem sharing
An old
it.
family. No, it's an old family secret, Amy.
I'm pretty sure it came out of like a recipe book somewhere.
Nestle Tollhouse.
And it was grandma. No, it has nothing to do with that.
No, Phoebe went her mother's cookie recipe
Oh, no.
from Nestle Tollhouse.
No. So anyways, it was that was a fun little surprise to be able
Yes.
to open up.
But the holidays are over. Now it's all about, or Christmas is over. New Year's is yet to come.
Yes.
But it's all about the straightening up and organizing and
New Year's resolutions.
New year, new you, they always say.
Yeah,
But we
New
just heard
Year,
today, they're
or
like,
there's dry January. There's so many different things. Word of the year.
word of the year?
Oh, I've done this now several years.
What is that?
Apparently you don't
No.
listen to me at all. And apparently you don't like read my little things I put up in the bathroom.
Oh, is that what's... No, I don't read those.
My
no.
little word of the year this year. I think it's going to be intentional.
What was the word of this year?
Worthy.
Oh, okay.
So incorporating that
We'll
in.
do a whole episode on your
But
word of the year next time.
intentional. And I work with, like, that's something like with clients and other coaches that I know, picking out a word of the year that you're going to really focus in on every day. Like, how am I going to live each day with
True.
intentionality?
And we don't really do New Year's resolutions, even though only about 30% of people do, we learned.
I know. That's really interesting. And I don't know. I mean, I think it was interesting. We were watching a sermon this morning, and they had it broken down by ages. Like,
Yes.
and my theory, like younger people,
They still have hope and
they're doing all of
ambition.
it. And then I'm sitting there going, by the time you get to, I think it was 65 plus, and I'll just go down, let's say, 45.
Right.
You know what? I know that I'm not going to keep this. So why am I even doing this? So
But I don't know if I consider dry January a New Year's resolution. Like, it's a 1 month. They're not trying to do the whole year.
And I would say just with dry January, I never did one. I have taken clients through them,
I did.
but personally doing
I'm technically still doing it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're still on a break.
Yeah.
We tell people that we're still on a break from alcohol.
True.
However, that I can remember being at a meeting, a band meeting, and being at a bar. I think it was probably the year that I did quit, and sitting there with, maybe it was a year before, sitting with other people
Right.
at the table. All the guys are drinking. I'm drinking. And two of the gals were like, oh, yeah, I'm just taking a break. Just taking a break, January, resetting, they both still drink. Yeah, I just need to take a break.
Right.
And I was sitting there going, oh my gosh, I wish I could do that.
And you did.
And I did finally.
Finally. Yes. That's what the life of drinking is like. Constantly wanting to quit, but not quitting.
At that moment, I had no hope that I could do that.
Actually do it.
So,
we'll get to how you can have hope, kids. But if you want, you can always voicemail us, 224-225-9302. Or there's a bunch of links down below.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, share the podcast with others. Yeah.
All the links down below. You can get our 7 tips to start your AF journey. You can download our weekly marriage meeting guide.
And please, those will both work really well
together
at the beginning of the year.
They're great.
The beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. I mean, we need to do our weekly marriage meeting, Matt, today.
Well, something's got to give, Amy. I can't organize and podcast and do a marriage meeting.
I think you can.
We already done 2 of the 3, so I guess so.
We've got a day here. But yeah, so yes, please download those. I think, you know what, like we've said before, that marriage meeting has been something I would say that I want to get back on track with.
The holidays throw a lot of things off track.
They do.
That's why January is a good time to do the quit drinking and kind of reset yourself. But if you want to start your quit drinking, before we talk about, things that can, get you going, and if you're curious about dry January, we'll touch on that. But one of those things we just got in the mail, Amy, over the holidays.
I know it.
From our friends over at All the Bitter is
super excited.
It's their collab with Zero Proof Nation. Cherry Coffee Blast Bitters.
Yes.
They call it totally rad cocktail bitters. I don't know if all they're saying.
And we did get a new little dinosaur. We were very excited about
dinosaur.
that.
Yes.
Oh, and propped him up.
This actually came with a slap bracelet. They're so good they slap. That's what they say.
So this collab, now they're doing their collab.
We did our collab.
Our collab is with...
We mixed and this is one, you can mix it with tonic or club soda. So our collab is with Hy-Vee Club Soda. Thank you, Hy-Vee, for selling that to us.
But I want to just really, truly give a shout out to our Hy-Vee. Because they have a great
NA section.
NA selection.
They have the best NA section in a grocery store in Central Illinois. I
firmly believe that.
Yes.
So I'm going to this is a blind taste test.
I will chat while you try it. I've tried it. I really like it. It may be better with tonic because tonic is sweeter. It may bring out the cherry, but it is totally good in club soda.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. It's not as cherry-y as I thought. Now, granted, you could put more bitters in. I think only like 3 to 5. That's the nice thing about the bitters. You want a little stronger?
You can put
just add more.
You put a few more drops in. But that's nice.
Yeah. It's nice.
Cheers there.
Cheers. Nice and light. Yes.
Well, and along with this, wanted to also mention that in my group that I've done in the past, my AFS, we do have a recipe book. And I thought, you know what? I will give Matt the link for that. And it's all types of mocktails and different drinks that I have used over the years that are really good. So you can also download that. But this is really good.
Or you can always visit our friend the Mocktail Whiz and download his book. His book is called The Mocktail Club. You go to mocktailwiz.com and you could purchase a copy of that if you would like.
And what's so great right now, though, is there are and you can follow him.
Mm-hmm.
He, aesthetically, I love everything that he shares.
Yes.
He does an amazing job. So please go out there and find the Mocktail Whiz.
Find the Mocktail
out on Instagram.
But Amy, dry January is almost upon us. Probably it could be upon you right now. That is how, and I like to kind of lead some of this because that is how I quit. I did a dry January with full intention of starting to drink after I finished January.
Right after I almost drank on
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve that night.
Yes.
9 months in.
Yeah.
That was like a huge battle for me.
When you know you're going to quit, you decide to tie one on. So that's what I did.
Anyway. There was an argument that evening.
Yes, there was.
A lot of cleaning though, because I love to stress clean.
Well, see, yeah, I need to get you. I don't like you stressed, but I like you stressed. So it's a hard one.
Yeah.
But we heard a line. When you're talking about dry January and you're thinking about doing it, and it's like, oh, I want to do that,
But it's with any change that you're wanting.
And, yeah, whether you want to learn to run a marathon or you want to quit drinking.
If you want to change your diet, if you want to change a habit.
Right. Change is a one-time decision with a daily commitment.
It is.
And going to the gym, quitting drinking, whatever it is.
And basically, I've said that. It's like, you're going to make a 180, and every day, though, you have to make that choice.
Keep turning around.
Each day you choose. And
Right.
one of the biggest, for me, one of the most effective, tools that I use was making a firm decision every morning.
Yep.
It was making that firm decision. You know what? I'm not drinking today. That decision is taken, is made, and it's taken off the table. And this is what I'm doing today.
And I'll say in my first 30 days, or maybe after that, I don't remember, but, you may go through a little moment, and it's, maybe 20 minutes, where it's like, I really want that drink. If you just kind of, find something else to occupy your time, and we'll get to some of these tips.
Yeah.
Occupy it and move through it. That next day you wake up, and there's nothing better than waking up the next day going, I didn't drink yesterday.
Yeah. And what you need to do, though, on that is you do need to celebrate that.
Yes. So let's get to our points here.
Let's go.
So a few things to expect in the
Yes.
first few days. Amy, what are some of those things?
Well, the first few days that you really do need to give yourself a lot of grace around all of this. There are going to be some symptoms that are going to, you're still going to feel like possibly you're having a hangover.
Right.
So you could have headaches. Matt, you have to put gastrointestinal, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that word.
Ooh, good job.
Issues, fatigue. You can have general malaise where you're just not feeling great.
Yep.
And you might even feel, a bit of like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? Just keep moving forward because when you're in that beginning, your body is literally resetting.
And literally detoxing.
Yes, you are detoxing. It does take anywhere from, depending on what you're reading, 7 to 10 days, 15 days to get the effects of alcohol completely out of your system.
Right. And I'd say, it's more after the first few weeks, but, I take that first day picture.
Yes, please take a day one.
Yes. Because after that first week, even a week, sometimes you can look back and make, oh. And then in 2 weeks.
Puffiness.
Yes. If you don't think you have puffiness, you do.
The inflammation that alcohol causes, that puffiness is so crazy.
You don't think you do, and I didn't think I did. But then we look back, I'm like, oh, what's wrong with my head? But after a few weeks, things improve a little bit, right? There was a study of 857 people who participated in Dry January. 62% reported better sleep after giving alcohol for a month.
Yes.
Now, I always could sleep with or without alcohol, but better sleep. More restorative sleep, as I call it.
And you would wake up and you felt like refreshed.
Yeah. And,
instead of having that,
yeah, like I'm awake. Not really, but I'm awake.
Yeah. Well, I sleep great.
Well,
do you?
I'm passed out. That's sleep, right? You might lose some weight, right?
Yes.
Because you're cutting those calories out.
And I will say with that, do not go into this thinking you are going to lose weight.
Well, and like my weight dropped
Your weight dropped.
It did, but it didn't start till like maybe a month or two later.
Yeah.
It took some time.
For me, the weight came off, but it was a gradual. It was like over 6 months where I lost like 12 pounds.
Right. Well, sometimes it's because you replace your drink with a cookie. And so your calorie swap is even. But if you're not drinking, it's...
And try to find something like, I guess we should share our little fluff recipe, our protein fluff recipe.
Although we got a Ninja Creamy for Christmas, so now we're all about the...
Well, maybe we'll do a thing on
creamy
that. But
recipe.
That'll be another more episode. But yeah, so, just realize that weight. But the inflammation comes down. Because I remember even in that first month, my pants fitting better.
Right.
I hadn't really lost any weight, maybe a couple of pounds, but just the bloat from around my stomach.
Yeah. I mean, you see it externally, but then think about what that's doing internally. Because that's part of, I think, why another thing that happens after those first few weeks is that clear skin. So, the inflammation is in your skin, it's in your blood, it's in everything, right? So that clears up your skin, and then it
But
helps.
you can though, you can have like flare ups from like my skin got worse at the beginning
Really?
as everything was coming out.
Oh,
So just remember that as well.
your body had re-equalized, and you're re-equalizing
And
back to normal.
then it started to clear.
Interesting.
So that is, but yeah, so that I want people to realize too. Like, I thought you said it was going to clear up. Well, you have to, for some people, it is pretty immediate.
Right.
But for me, it was like, oh my gosh, what? And your skin can itch?
I didn't have that.
Yeah. And then that's like another thing. But yeah, so there's just,
And after that first few weeks, around 14 days, the thing to look forward to, what's it called? The purple haze or the pink cloud?
Pink cloud.
Pink cloud, yes.
Purple haze.
Purple haze, that's all I know.
No,
Pink cloud.
the pink cloud, you can start to experience that. Is if you've listened to our stories individually, but like for me, on around day 14, was when I went from, I want to say, living in gray to full color. All my senses came on back online. I mean, literally, things looked brighter. Because that's another thing. Your eyesight can improve, which is crazy. But everything was brighter. I was like hearing better.
Hearing
and I
things,
don't know if it was just because like your senses literally come online,
Right.
because alcohol is a depressant and it depresses everything down. And so I just felt uplifted. Now, a lot of people don't get that pink cloud, but many people do. Some people don't get it until later.
Right.
But
Well, it probably depends on your alcohol frequency and
exactly.
amount. So
Exactly.
your mileage may vary with the pink cloud writingness.
Yeah.
But if you're wanting to start your journey in January, there you go. Here's a few things you can start with, right? So write a list of pros and cons, right? I saw something on.
Well, writing out a list of, I mean, I firmly believe, like the benefits that you think that you're getting.
Right.
From alcohol.
I did see something on Instagram about one of the sobriety things we follow, and it was like, why I drink, feel better, kids, family, why I quit, kids, family, feel better, right? Like the reasons you think you're drinking are reasons to not drink.
Reason that you think, everything that you think you're getting from alcohol, you're not.
And it's probably the reason why you shouldn't drink.
Yeah. I mean, so just.
But there's a lot of health things, your blood pressure, liver
my
function,
gosh.
that was a big one for me. Gastrointestinal improvement was a big one for me.
Well, you are taking away, well, I mean, it takes time, but whenever you're putting alcohol into your body, I mean, you are increasing your chance for cancers.
Right.
7
of all
at least,
kinds.
yes. But mainly for me, one of the big ones is breast cancer.
Yep.
It is directly tied.
100%. 100%. But the lists are kind of good things to look back, kind of like your North Star. It's like this is, and maybe it's more the why I'm doing it versus the pro and
I was
con,
going to
right?
was going to say, write down your why.
Yeah.
Write down your why. Put your why in your phone.
Right.
Be able to refer back to it.
And I think one of the things in This Naked Mind book, their 30-day experiment, was like, I think it was write down your why, and then also like, the few days before you quit, like write down how you feel, or like, I remember one of the days I was drinking before that, there was like that pre-homework, and it was like, write down, like kind of journal your night, like, what do I feel like when I want to drink? And then now what do I feel? And then when you read back through it, it's like, oh, you realize this great need, and then this trailing path of not wanting to but still drinking, and this sad. I'm like, it's a minor blip of perceived happiness for a tail end of
Yeah. Well, I mean, alcohol, when you it's a stimulant and a depressant, but when you first take a drink, I mean, you get a high for 20 minutes.
right, and then you're just chasing that the rest of
And
the time.
then you're chasing it, and then it takes, for that 20 minutes, it's like 3 hours for the alcohol, it's going through your system and everything for your body to start to go back into homeostasis. I mean, if you have a couple of drinks, you wake up at 3:00 in the morning because you have anxiety and everything. It's because everything is switching. The chemicals are being released, the cortisol. is being released. And so it's just this crazy roller coaster that you're on.
And I think the benefit of writing down your why is because we tend to, as humans, tend to have a habit, or our brains have a habit of suppressing the bad in our memory and more remembering the good. So it's easy to kind of be like, maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe I wasn't that shameful. Maybe, and then you read that and you're like, oh.
That's fading effect bias.
Yeah.
Is what that is. I mean, and because, you might wake up with a terrible hangover and be like, I'm not going to drink tonight. I'm not going to drink tonight. But then as you're going through your day.
Like, oh, the effect, that's gone.
Well, because
hangover's gone, so yeah.
But it's also, there's more chemicals and hormones that are being released in your body at that time of the day. And you're like, oh, that itch, the craving is coming.
Like a hamster on a wheel.
But I wrote down, this is my why I'm doing this. And this really has not changed: to feel better, sleep better, and to be more present in my life, and to take head on my fears and problems. That has not changed.
Nope.
And to remind yourself of that. And I put it in, I got an app that I followed, the sober app, to keep track, even though I don't like the word sober app, but living alcohol free.
And that's not on our list, but an app is always a good way to, because it gives you can look back and make, oh, look, I made it all week. And some of them, if you have we call it a data point, if you have a drink, you can mark that. But even at the end of 30 days, if you only drank 2 days and you used to drink every day, that's a pretty good improvement.
That is a huge improvement.
Right? So,
and we are so focused on the negative. And alcohol is the only drug that if you decide to quit, that you have to quit perfectly.
Right. And it's also the only drug that if you decide to quit, you might get grief from people.
True.
Right?
True. But I want to also say with this, like with your why, with trying to keep track. Some people get hung up. They're like, they don't want to do the days. It does kind of bother them.
Right.
Do what feels right for you too in the moment. But also remember that you have been spending so much time on drinking.
Right.
And your brain has been thinking about drinking, and then you are drinking and all of that, that you are spending so much time around that. When you take it away, your living alcohol-free needs to be your main point for the beginning.
Yep.
I tell clients, you're going to school. This is what you're going to do. We are going to learn everything that we can about alcohol, what it's doing to you, what it's taking from you. And over a process of 30 to 90 days, removing that and living without it to see what your life can actually be like.
Right.
You can always go back.
Yep. And I'd say, the nice thing about January is gives
you a taste.
Yeah. Well, like sober October, and then you're heading into the holidays and it's like, what? January, it's a good reset time. Most of the parties are done, and you can kind of, for me, it's like, oh, well, there weren't more triggers, so it makes it a little easier.
And I love how you have on here, give yourself a sober treat or an alcohol-free treat every day.
Yep. Well, it's because then you have like little goals, like, oh, I made it today. My goal for, if I make it today, then I can whatever. If I make it a week, then I get a pedicure. I don't, but you could.
Well, and what I did was I kind of set a goal for I think it was my first 21 days. When I got, actually, it was the first 30 days. When I hit that, I ordered myself a bracelet.
Yeah.
And, I still have that bracelet. I don't wear it every day because I now have other bracelets. It's kind of a thing,
right.
That I do, but putting that on and still looking at that bracelet, it's like, yeah, that reminds me of my, and it was an arrow.
Right.
And it gave me a lot of hope. It was like, you know what? This is what you're doing.
Right. Well, and
it's a touch point. You're going to keep doing. And I want to also say, guys, replacing the ingredients.
Well, yeah, you need to move the alcohol like out of sight, preferably out of the house. Mm-hmm. But then with that, replace the ingredients, keep the ritual. That was, I think we've said it 100 times on this podcast. That was huge for us.
I'm playing it forward.
So get some of your all the bitter and get yourself some club soda and make yourself a little sober cocktail in the afternoon, evening, whatever. And
I would absolutely agree.
Yes, that is.
And I did that for 4 or 5 months. Every day I came home.
The next one I think is, yes. Oh, yeah.
Every day I came home, and it was because that habit, it's such a habit of walking, for many of us, is walking in the door. Oh, I've had such a rough day, or I've had this, getting the glass, pouring the wine or pouring the beer or making a drink every day, and being able to replace that and being like, oh, okay, I'm still doing that habit.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, then you might can you get addicted to this? I'm like,
no, there's no alcohol in it.
There's no alcohol. There's not an addictive property in what you're drinking unless you're drinking sugar.
Well, true.
But typically what I was making in the beginning was literally a shrub, which is what
like vinegar.
Was like it was kind of like maybe it was an apple,
like an apple cider
vinegar flavored.
Yeah.
I would take that. I would take club soda or ginger beer, mulling up some fruit, putting it all together.
So you had the experience of creating the cocktail without the alcohol,
and it slows you down.
Right.
Instead of being just so automatic with everything that we do.
Yeah, that is a. And then if you are doing things, and if you have that plan, and you have your sober drinks, and you feel like you fit in, you feel like you're doing your adult, your quote unquote adult thing.
And when you were feeling like you're not fitting in, just be really aware that is more on you and in your mind than other people, because other people, as long as
they have their drink.
As long as they have their drink.
Yep.
And I would also say, depending on where you're at, to have some accountability. For me, it was you. And even though you were still drinking, me being able to say, hey, I'm doing this. I need your support around this.
Accountability, buddy.
And, if you don't feel like you have that, reach out to us. I am happy to be your buddy.
Because I think it helps, and that yes, we are happy to be your buddy, 100%. If you can find somebody IRL in your real life that I think it even dials it.
Absolutely.
Because as soon as we told each other we were doing it, it changed it versus always saying to ourselves, "Oh, I'm gonna cut back." Because if you don't tell anybody, it is super easy to be like, "Well, nobody's gonna know if I don't do this," right? Or it's like, not that Amy would have scolded me or anything, but it's like, oh well, okay, well, she knows I'm not supposed to be. I know I'm not supposed to be. Probably shouldn't, right? So it's a subtle thing, but it makes a difference.
And I guess another thing around that too is just being very aware of a few things. Like 30 days, some people, me,
right?
21 days, I was like, how in the world am I going to be able to do 21 days? How am I going to be able to do one or two? I mean, that
I hadn't done 5, so that was
exactly. So it's like, so you kind of come up with this whole thing. So if that number, whatever that number is feeling too big for you, just be like, you know what? All right, I'm not drinking today.
Yep.
And then
that's very popular.
You know what? I'm not drinking today. Tomorrow.
Worry about tomorrow.
Oh, exactly. And you just keep moving forward and then celebrating it. Because I remember celebrating day 1. I mean, actually, it was the next morning going, oh my gosh, I did it.
Yeah, for me, it was like the first week. I'm like, I haven't done a week in forever.
Yeah, and then when I remember getting to 5 days, and it was like, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Right.
And then 7 days, I did a complete week. And then it just, celebrating that. Like, oh my gosh,
it's like anything.
I'm
Gamification of anything always
I'm
helps,
doing this. I'm really doing this. And and the other thing that we would do is like, oh, hey, I'm going to go out for dinner. Right. Okay, well, I am not, I'm not going to have the drink.
Right.
So I am going to enjoy the dessert.
Well, at some point, and I don't know when it is, you just quit counting anyway. It's like, I
know.
I don't know when I quit counting. Because all of a sudden I was like, today I was like, holy cow, in 2 days it'll be 4 years.
I know, isn't that amazing?
I'm like,
that's so exciting though.
But I'm like, how did I get to 4 years? I didn't think I could do 4 days.
I know. And that's the other thing. When you're looking at other people, you're like, oh, I could never do that. You can. Right. We thought the same thing. Yes. I could not. There's no way I can do that.
Which is why we really like that change is a one-time decision with a daily commitment. Because
I love it.
Because that's, people always say, well, I want to be like you, running, doing this for how many years or doing whatever, Well, it started with the daily decision every morning, whether it's get out of bed and go running, get out of bed and not drink that day, whatever that is, that's a daily decision.
And this year, this year, working on our health.
Right.
Working on that, like, and I want to say,
not eating that ho-ho every day is a daily decision.
And then, but even like right now, like we come off of Christmas, oh my gosh, you know what? I have 5 pounds to lose now. Why did I do that to myself? I could sit there and I could spiral
Right.
and go down that. It's like, you know what? It's okay.
Right.
I am today. You don't actually, guys, you don't have to wait if you're going to do dry January and start on January 1st.
No.
You can start today.
You can
can
start
say,
today.
you know
You
what?
can start January 2nd. I mean,
Exactly. I mean, I'm, for Coach Suzanne and I have done the AFS the past 2 years. This year, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that starting off in January.
Right.
But I am planning at the end of the month to be either doing the Choose Freedom program through the plans he has for me, or we might be doing one of an AFS. But I'm like, you know what? Far too often, it was my mindset. It was like, I have to get my mind around what I'm going to do. You're coming off the holidays, so much going on,
Right.
and kind of doing like almost like a getting ready.
Right. Well, and there's so many resources in January because everybody's thinking about it.
Yeah.
Then January ends, it's like, well, now what's my resource? Right. So it's almost better. The one other thing I wanted to touch on, which was huge for me because my thing was come home at night, make a drink, and just kind of sit on the chair, the couch, whatever, was think ahead of time, like of obviously sober activities. Like, but what are your hobbies? Because you're going to sit and like, well, now what do I do?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just sitting here drinking alcohol.
I'm bored.
Yeah.
And
And the first
just
thing,
remind yourself, you were boring just sitting there drinking.
yeah, you were bored sitting there drinking.
You were occupying with the drink.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, and that's becomes a slippery slope because like I'm bored, but I'm like, well, if I could drink, then I wouldn't be bored. But you'd still be doing nothing,
Yeah.
right? So, but think ahead. Like I knew the hobbies that I wanted to kind of get back into or refocus on or whatever it was, and you kind of line those up. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this tonight.
But
and,
maybe
you know,
you don't.
But
Maybe you don't know what you want to do.
right.
And so, because for me, when it came to that, I had to really start to dig into that. Like I was like, well, what did I used to like to do?
right,
Because maybe you're like me. Maybe you had your first drink at 15, and you're sitting there going, "Why? What did I do? I mean, I got back into. I liked creative writing, so I'm like, you know what? They talk a lot, journaling.
right,
So journaling, I mean, I will tell, who do I wish to become? And is this habit supporting that? That is 2 of my favorite questions, and that's from Atomic Habits.
right,
Doing that, that was something that was really beneficial in the beginning. But going back, I had to go way back to some memories. Like I liked helping my dad refinish furniture.
and you refinished a lot of furniture.
I did, but there's other things, like is there a craft that you could do?
Just go to the hobby store and look around.
Are you wanting to get back into fitness?
Right.
I mean, maybe it is that you're going to like,
But
when
I think-
I get home, I'm going to go for a walk.
So I think
each day.
regardless of what that is, just think of that ahead of time. Like, because that's gonna be that is not a problem. It's a challenge.
Well, have a boredom list.
Yeah, it's
Creating a boredom list is something like things that you can do. Organizing.
yeah, that's an easy one.
And not getting yourself overwhelmed, because I can get myself really overwhelmed by, oh my gosh, everything in this house needs to be organized.
Right.
Start with a drawer.
Or just think.
Or a
Another thing
shelf.
is like you don't have to fill 4 hours every night.
No.
Like, usually it's
20
yeah, it's
to
at
30
20
minutes.
to 30 minutes of like, oh, okay, and then you kind of get yourself past it, and then you move on, and yeah,
But or during that time, maybe that's when you're going to do your alcohol-free homework.
Yeah.
You're going to listen to a podcast or Quit Lit book or something like that. Just keeping in mind that right now, when you're doing this, just putting on that, what is it? That curiosity, the learning mindset.
right,
Putting that on for the next 30 days and saying, I'm going to learn everything I possibly can about alcohol. I am going to learn everything I can about why I'm doing this.
yep,
And then just being really open to it, that this is, I'm just taking a break.
and I think the reason I kept going, and even though I thought I'd start again, was I didn't think I could do 30 days. When I did 30 days, it's like well, I don't want to break this streak, so let's just go. I was just like, well, let's do one more day and one more day. Next thing you know, one more day turns into 3 months or 4 months. So then it becomes like a little personal challenge. It's like, oh, well, let's see if I can get through this. And some of them were a little more challenging than others, but
Well, and you're going to have days that aren't easy.
right.
You could have an evening where you're really struggling. You could have moments where you do drink.
Right.
But what we do is we get back on it and we say the next day, we're like, you know what? Oh, what can I learn from that?
Yeah. If
And
you
how
do,
do I move
learn
forward?
from don't do
How
it
do I-
mindlessly. Learn from it.
Yeah, like,
and-
oh my
yeah,
gosh, what happened? What caused me?
Right.
What triggered me to do this?
Yep.
What came up? Because it's, you're going to have cravings. You're going to have temptations that are going to come up because of your neural pathways.
Yeah, if you don't play it forward and not drink, and you end up drinking, at least play it back and see what you can do to prevent it next time, and what caused you to, and was it worth it?
And use visualization. I'm really big on that as well. Like, okay, that's what happened. So I'm going to visualize that whole experience
Yep.
going that I didn't drink. That, oh, okay, you know what? I didn't have that drink. I walked the other way. I didn't do it. To train your mind to go a different way.
100%. 100%. Send that mind another way. Now that you've listened to this whole podcast, send your mind to Sober January. Dry January. You know what? I hate all these names.
Dry January.
I need a spreadsheet of all these rhyming
And it's
names.
okay. You know what? Go in. I'm going to just say this again. Go in with curiosity. Curiosity, learning. You can do this.
Curiosity may kill the cat, but it may save you in this.
Going in, like, how do I want to feel when this is done? How am I going to feel when I do this?
Be like me. You may poop a lot less. Gastrointestinal fun, kids. That's what I'm
I'm
talking
going
about.
to tell you what. If you're having issues,
Try
anxiety.
Anxiety and gastrointestinal. Try quick drink and see what
Yeah, I'll
happens.
tell you what. And true freedom, being able to go anywhere you want and drive at any time of the evening without a drink,
Oh, that is real freedom.
that's
right
the
there,
best.
kids. That is. All right, kids. Well, hope your dry January gets off to a kicking hot start. We will check on you next week, see how you're doing with that dry January. Until then, I am Matt, along with Coach Amy, wishing you peace and love from the cornfields. And we are
Out.